wants to be. Now, why do people lose money? Most traders have a confused mindset. And let us see the common mistakes what untrained traders make. I think it is all about education. It is all about training. If you are trained properly, you will not make these mistakes as a trader or even as an investor. And I think that is what the training can make a big difference. Most traders trade on tips. Somebody says something, they take a trade without thinking. Based on emotions, greed, fear, and hope. I think I already covered this. So I think this is what the experience. In fact, when I started my career in the stock markets, of course, I did not know ABC of technicals, and this is what happened to me as well. I mean, in the first 3, 4, 5 years, I must have lost my capital 2 or 3 times, or maybe twice I lost my capital, then there were big losses. And all of this turned around after I started with the charts and technical analysis and the trade setups. And this is what I'm going to share with you. I'll try in the next 30 minutes to share my 30 years of experience, rather, what the markets have taught me. I'll try to share that with you. And momentum trade setups is the key. If you are able to spot momentum in the prices or in the markets, you will be on the winning side, is what I feel. Let us see, let us go ahead. Now, what we have already discussed, that is the problem area. Let's try to find a solution. I mean, all of you know the problem. But before we find a solution, let us analyze, rather, I want you to think that what should you be, whether you should be a day trader, a position trader, an investor, short term, long term, so on and so forth. Should you be an investor, a positional trader, or a day trader is what you need to answer. You don't have to be a trader because your friend is trading, because he has told you that he has made big money trading. That may just be a lie. According to me, every one of us should be an investor. Otherwise, we are losing out with a long term view in mind. Positional trader with a 3, 6 months kind of a thing is also good. If you want to trade for a shorter version, be it a 4, 5 day, a week, 2 weeks, or maybe a day trader, that requires a specific focus, specific training, and a detailed study. Otherwise, don't get into day trading, would be my advice. This is a boat that is carrying you to the other side of the island where there is a treasure. As an investor, you have to sit in that boat and travel. It is a safe journey, very comfortable. You reach whatever time it takes. So, as an investor, your journey is going to be like this. If you want to start trading, maybe positional, maybe whatever, a few days to a few weeks, kind of, the journey gets a little rough, and this is how it could be. And mind you, there are some sharks in the water. So, the risk is always there. And if you want to be a day trader, the journey is likely to be this. You have to sit on the back of a shark and go to the other side of the island where there is a treasure. So when you jump, if you land on his back, the shark can't do anything to you. But by any chance you slip, then you have had it. One needs to understand what should be the time duration one should be looking at as an investor. It has to be minimum 1 to 3 years. I mean, if I have met a lot of people, a lot of my friends whom I have caught up, they want guidance for investment. And when I ask them the time frame horizon, they say "So, एक दो तीन महीने के लिए." ऐसा नहीं होता. It has to be minimum 1 to 3 years. In fact, it has to be 3 years. And yes, that at times when the market moves fast, yes, you can book profits earlier. But unless you have a 1 to 3 year time horizon, you are not an investor. You are just a trader. Once you have a 3 year time horizon, and then you can play on shorter moves. A 30, 40, 50% move comes in 3 to 6 months or 6 to 8 months. You can book that, re-enter again, all of that. You are still an investor. That would be a medium term investor. You can be a position trader if you have a 3 to 4 weeks, say till expiry. So 1 month, you can trade in cash, you can trade in FNO. Short-term positional trader, you can have a 3, 4, 5 day view, play for 5, 7, 8, 10% types, basically for FNO traders. And if you are a day trader, which a lot of people are or they want to be, and more so in options, the view is typically from 30 minutes to 3 hours. I know a few people who trade for not more than 10 minutes. 1 to 2, 3 minutes on the downside, 10 to 12 minutes. They play on momentum in very small duration chart. My advice is avoid that. It is the best way of losing money unless you have that skill set and different skill level and you are a full-time trader. What returns should you expect from the markets as an investor or as a trader? As an investor, I think I look at doubling my capital anywhere between 2 to 3 years. Sometimes it happens if you get a good cycle, it happens much, much earlier than that. Sometimes the returns are much more than that. But on an average, if you play multiple cycles, say 2 to 3 years, there is one cycle, you have multiple cycles, you should double your capital every 2 to 3 years is what I look at, or rather 80 to 100%. If you are a medium term investor with a 3 to 6 months time horizon, you should look at making 30 to 40% in that investment. If you are a positional trader with a 3 to 4 weeks uh, trading in FNO, I would say 8 to 10% return is a good return, and 8 to 10% in leverage terms would be much, much higher. It could be 20, 25, even 30%. In a week, 4 to 5 to 6% is what you can look at. And a day trader with a 30 minutes to a 2 or 3 hour horizon, 2 to 3% is what he makes. Or that is fantastic according to me. In leverage, it comes out to much more in FNO. In fact, options you can actually generate a return of 40, 50, 60, 80, 100, 200% depending on when you catch the move. Now, today's seminar is about momentum, identifying momentum trade setups. Now, what is momentum? According to me, momentum is the lifeline of a trader. Momentum is the speed at which the prices move. And according to me, it is the lifeline. So, if you are a trader, you need momentum, and only momentum. If you are an investor, it doesn't matter because you have a longer time horizon. Now imagine a situation as an investor or a say medium term investor, you have bought a stock, you have entered that stock for the first 3, 4 months, it just does not move. It is in a band, stuck in a band. It doesn't fall also, it doesn't go up also. It doesn't fall. The total movement in the last 3, 4 months is just 10%, 5% down, 5% up band, it is moving. Now you are frustrated purely because it is not moving. Now you are not really bothered, and the moment a little bit of a move comes, you exit out. You have exited the stock in the fourth or the fifth or the sixth month, and in the next 3 months or 4 months, the stock doubles. Now, this I'm sure would have happened to all of us sometime or other in our lifetimes. Now, this is the importance of tracking or identifying momentum. If you caught the momentum right, and if you had entered in the month or around that where the momentum began, you would have probably doubled your capital in the next 4 5 months. Now, again, as I said, as an investor, it doesn't matter if you are a long-term investor specifically, but as a trader, it definitely matters. And one needs to catch momentum if one has to succeed as a trader. Now, I am going to share with you today two momentum trade setups which actually changed my life. Last almost 25 to 30 years, I have been using this in some form or the other. And primarily, these two trade setups have helped me build my career. I was doing a job in a public sector company, which I left, and I entered the stock markets. I had no background of the stock markets. I was a normal investor, trader, whatever you can call, normal person. And I have gone through the series of losses which a normal layman has. Technical analysis changed my life. And once I understood momentum, I would like to share that with you. Hopefully, it works for you. I can't promise that you will make a killing or how much money you will make, but certainly you will be able to identify good moves. And when the market falls, you will not lose out because you would have already been out if you follow this system that I'm sharing with you. The first tool or the first trade setup is the PVRM trade setup. PVRM stands for price, volumes, RSI, and momentum. The second one stands for the second one is a RSI 50 trade setup. Now let us understand both and how they can, what they can do for you, and also how to use that. The first trade setup, that is the PVRM trade setup, requires some training. You will require training. You will have to understand technical analysis. You will have to have the ability of spotting price patterns, and then it will work well for you. The second one can be used. It's a general RSI 50 is more of a trading system. Even if you understand anything about technicals, you have to follow some certain basic rules and you can use that. The first one can be used for traders, momentum traders, position traders, day traders, even for long-term investors. The second one, RSI 50, is used on the monthly chart and it is only for long-term investors and it mainly protects your capital. I mentioned we require a detailed knowledge for the first one. Second can be used by anyone. And I'm going to share in the next half an hour in detail as much as I can with case studies, and hopefully it can help you identify momentum and big moves. Price volume RSI momentum trade setup, that is what I define as PVRM trade setup. Three constituents: number one is price, number two is volumes, and number three is RSI. All of these are available in any basic level chart. You can open any software, free, paid, whatever, and you will get these parameters. Now, how does one identify a PVRM trade setup? Identify a price breakout, that is number one. What do you mean by price breakout? Current price, whatever time frame, it could be half an hour, 1 hour, daily, whatever you are seeing, is breaking out of a prior low or multiple tops. Not low, sorry, top or multiple tops. Okay. That is termed as a price breakout. Price breaking out of multiple highs. That price breakout has to be supported by volumes. Suppose if a price of a stock is at 600 and multiple times it is touching 600 and falling, and the next time it breaks 600, that time, that day, that hour, that minute, volumes have to be high. That indicates that the buying is much more than the selling, and the demand is much more than the supply, and this will be termed as a price and volumes breakout simultaneously at the same time in the same candle. One more important constituent will add along with that: price, volumes, and RSI. Now, RSI indicates whether the price level is the right level to buy, is in the right zone. When I'm saying the right zone, RSI basically identifies overbought and oversold zones. We'll see that in detail. PVR breakout is a combination of price, volumes, and RSI. Now, what is the RSI? I will cover that in the next slide. M stands for money management, which I think is the backbone of any trade setup, and it is a must. I am repeating, price should break multiple tops, at least 3 tops, more the merrier. Volume should be double than the average of the last 15 to 30 candles. Now, somebody may take 10, somebody may take 15, somebody may take 30. That is entirely your call. I normally prefer anywhere between 15 and 30. Now, this is the important thing. RSI should be in the 50 to 60 or on an outer side 60 to 63 band or range. That is where, if the breakout comes, that is the right level to enter. Don't buy if the RSI is below 50. Don't buy if RSI is between 66, 67 and 70, because that is a resistance level for the RSI. It can get stuck and your stop loss may get triggered. Rather, wait for the RSI to break 70 and then get into the trade, because then you are catching the momentum. So either buy at 50, 55, 60 in that range or above 70. Most important point, all of these conditions have to be met simultaneously. It can't happen at 10 o'clock in the morning, the price gave a breakout, volumes were at 12 o'clock, and RSI came in that range at 3 o'clock. That will not work. In the same candle, maybe one candle here or there. That is what actually happens. And when you see this happening, believe me, you will get a good move with a 50 to 60% strike rate. I won't say that you will get 8 or 9 out of 10, but 5 to 6 moves, if you get out of 10, those moves will give you multiple profits. They will give you a risk to reward of 1:3, 1:4, at times even more than that. So if you lose out, your loss is say 5 rupees, your profit is 15, 20 rupees. PVRM trade setup is ideal for long-term investors. It can be used for long-term as well as short-term. Short to medium-term traders, position traders, day traders. Now I'll actually share with you some of the case studies that we have identified over the past decade or so. Now this probably I will term this as my best trade in my lifetime. We identified this stock at 463 just during those COVID times. Now I'm sure you are seeing where the 3 arrows are. The first arrow indicates P. P stands for price breakout. Price is breaking out of multiple tops, almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tops almost. And in the same candle, this is the weekly chart of Balaji Amines. And in the same candle, the volumes were 4, 5 times of the average of the last. That white line that you see on the volumes is the average. Now it is 5, 6, 7 times probably. And if you see, RSI has just broken out of the 50 band. From 463, the stock went up, what, 10 times in some 15 months. Now this is what momentum is. Obviously, it will never go one way. It will go up. There will be some consolidation. There will be some correction. For me, once the breakout comes, that low should not be broken. And after that, a higher top, higher bottom sequence has to be maintained. Now, this technique gives me a precise entry. Now, you can enter in that candle, you can enter it on a bit of a correction with the low of that candle as the stop loss, or maybe when that candle high is crossed with the momentum, you can enter. Please remember, if you are a investor, look at the monthly charts or weekly charts. If you are a position trader, look at the hourly charts and daily charts in combination. If you are a short-term trader trading for a few hours to a few days, look at 30 minutes, 60 minutes chart. And if you are a day trader, only look at 30 or maybe 15, 30, 60 minutes chart. The rules are the same for all the price durations. You can use this as a day trader, you can use this technique as a position trader or even as an investor. And this is what I'm showing you is the long-term view, long-term chart of Balaji Mines. In one, I think 15 months, the stock moved 10 times. Now, obviously, every stock, you will not get this kind of a move. But when the RSI breaks out of the 50 level, you can actually see the stock doubling. I'll cover the second trade setup, but let us see some more case studies of this PVRM breakout. This was Godfrey Phillips. I think this has also been a very good trade. The stock practically from 1500, it went on to 8-10,000 in the next 18 to 24 months. And parameters are absolutely the same. Price, multiple breakouts. See the volumes on the breakouts and the RSI breakout breaking. I think RSI there was some 62, 63. This was in November 22. From 1500, the stock went to 8500, something like that. So some 460% in some 2 years or 2.5 years. This was probably my second or third best trade, Vatek Wabag. We spotted this at 400, 450, somewhere around that range. In May 23, in 2 years, that stock went on to make a high of 1900. Now, I will not repeat the PVR sequence. It is for you to see. In 18 months, the stock has moved up by 337%. Now, I would also like to show you trades as a trader with a 1 month view or 1.5 months view. You can spot like this PVRM breakout in GRSC in May 25, just 1 year back or 6 months back. A 96% move came. Now, parameters are absolutely the same. If you see, it is a very clear breakout in a weekly chart with high volumes and the RSI breaking out of that 55-60 band and breaking multiple tops. AB Capital, this was again in May 25, a 33% up move in 6 weeks. Now, in a month, if you can get anywhere between 10 to 12%, I am very happy. Now, this kind of moves are exciting. This just happened, I think, December 25. In Hindustan Zinc gave a 23% up move in just 10 or 11 days. Now you just take one lot with a 7-8,000 risk in on that lot. You would have made probably 4-5 times that, maybe more than that actually, in 10 days. CG Power in August 25, a 14% move in 10 days. Price, volume, RSI, absolutely the same parameters. Now, I would also like to show you something over what happened in a day, or if you can take today, tomorrow, BTST, same technique, use the 30 minutes or 1 hour chart. Price breaking multiple tops. This is, I think, Lupin at 2130 on 6 Jan, I think this month only. And see the move, 5% move has come just in 1 day or maybe today and tomorrow kind of. Now 5% move in the price means actually on a leverage position, if you buy one lot, you will end up making 15, 20, 25%, whatever. This is an intraday call in Coal India in 2nd Jan. The point is when you enter, The beauty of a PVRM setup is that once you enter, in a span of a few minutes or probably half an hour, depending on what charts you are seeing, you will never see that low being crossed. And then it is up to you how much move you can. Now, we have techniques how we can actually capture the full move or 50, 60, 70% of the move. So that I will cover later. Now I'm coming to the second technique. Basically, this technique RSI 50 is not a trade setup alone, it is a trading system. It helps long-term investor. As I said, don't use this for trading. Use only the first one for trading. This is only for long-term investors with a 1 to 3 year horizon or maybe 6 months, 3 months types, or medium-term investors. This is not for trading. But this system can help you protect your capital. Use the RSI only in the monthly charts. This is how the RSI line looks. It moves between 0 and 100, and typically RSI around 30 on the downside is considered as a bottom. And I have seen a lot of analysts say that if RSI has come to 30, let us start buying. This is a good level to accumulate. I totally disagree with this, and I'll tell you the reason why. RSI can come to 30, that price can also be attractive. It may not fall much. I agree with all of that. But the problem is the RSI at 30, the price may just spend time in that zone. It may not move up also. And you don't want to be in a stock where there is no momentum. So for what happens if you buy a stock at 265? The stock doesn't break 250. It moves between 250 and 275, and it spends next 8 to 10 months, and it frustrates you. I don't want to be in a stock where there is no momentum. I would rather wait for the RSI to cross 50, and I want volumes to come, PVR, as I said, price volumes. And once above 50, there is momentum. Instead of buying at 265, I would rather buy at 300 on the way up to 400, 500, 600, whatever. So for me, buying in the RSI level around 30 and trying to catch the bottom is like catching falling knives. Don't do that. It can burn your hands. Buy only when RSI closes above 50, and then you will get a much faster move. Of course, a lot of other things need to see, like price patterns, which is the most important thing. But primarily, I look at stocks where RSI has closed above 50 from below. That is where momentum is likely to be. I repeat, 20 to 30, howsoever attractive the price may be, because it is oversold, don't get into that stock. Strictly avoid, strictly a no-no. 50 and above, till it is 62, 63, 65, that is the strength area. That is the level to buy. And let me tell you, in the monthly chart, if you identify stocks above 50, till the time it makes a top, where there is a lot of resistance, which is 85 to 90. Now you bought a stock, where will you book profits? Where will you sell? Around 85 is the level which are extreme overbought zones, and there you should book some profits. I have had stocks doubling, tripling from 50 to 85, 55 to 85, 90. There have been stocks which have doubled in one cycle. So entering above 50, riding on till in a monthly chart in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, you can actually double, triple some of the stocks can give that much move. Once in the range of 85, look at booking some profits or exiting long positions. For any reason you have bought a stock above 50, for whatever reason, and the RSI moves from above 50 to below 50. Alternatively, you're holding a stock as an investment which you have bought, say, 5, 7, 10 years back. You must have bought that stock at 100, 120 rupees. Currently, it is at 800, 850 rupees. And the RSI closes below 50 in a monthly chart for that stock. The price is say 800 or 780. It is much, much higher than what you have bought it at. You are making a multiple return, 500, 600% return over 3, 4 years. If RSI closes below 50 in the monthly chart and the low of that month is broken, I think you should exit that stock. Exit the stock means you are booking profits. Now, again, you want to try and enter when the RSI is coming in the 55-50 zone. You will get anywhere between 20 to 30% move most of the times. So, if you have a long-term bullish view on that stock, you can sell that, buy it back 25% lower. One or two moves in a year will generate a return of 25 to 50, 40, 50%. That is how you can use the RSI. RSI monthly below 50 and the low of that month is broken, I repeat, just have to exit the stock first and then think. There would be situations where you exit and the stock bounces back. All of that is going to happen. But if you don't form this habit, I mean, I have seen stocks which have gone from a few hundred rupees to 2, 3,000 and come back to 100. Same level. So stocks move in cycles. So if you can't catch the cycle, I mean, nobody knows everything about every stock. So RSI is the best tool. And I'll show you some of the stocks which we have forced our clients to sell, and today they thank me for that. Now, this was one of the best stocks in RSI 50 setup in 2020 May, I think, if I remember correctly. Sun Pharma gave a buy. RSI entered above 50. See the volumes, see the price. Looks very similar to the PVR setup only. From, I think, 450, 500, the stock has already moved to 1900. Now, Jet Airways. RSI broke down below 50. This was around 360, 340, 350. It fell, it bounced back, could not sustain, and then the big fall came. Now, practically, Jet Airways touched low of 13 rupees. Now, for me, forget 13 rupees, 10 rupees, 0, 100, whatever. I just don't care. If I see the RSI below 50 on the monthly, I just don't want to be in that stock. Unless you have a fundamental knowledge, some backing where a long-term investor you want to buy, that is separate. But if the stock you are buying for long term, there is only one certainty: all of us are going to be dead. There is nothing else. So RSI below 50, just throw that stock away. Howsoever, let anybody tell you anything. Now, I have called up my clients and forcefully, I mean, some of them said, sir, ये तो 450 में buy किया है, and I am telling them to sell at 360. I said, nothing doing, you sell it, then think. And today they are thanking me for that. No, 450 में buy किया है, you have lost 90 rupees, but otherwise you would have lost 300 rupees or maybe 360 rupees. Same thing happened in Yes Bank. Now, I don't want to repeat. See, you can see the chart speaks. RSI 50 breakdown. That low is broken. Just don't enter stocks where the RSI is below 50. Now, these two trade setups, I mean, let me not say that if I spot 10 trade setups, I will get only 5 or 6, right? The strike rate is 50 to 60%. You will never get 10 on 10. Nobody can. PVRM trade setup. Now, I would want to share with you what these trade setups have helped me achieve. I started with a job in BPCL. I started training as a trainer. This was, I think, sometime around 96 or so. Now, almost 25, 27, 28 years, rather 30 years. And just because of my ability to spot this two trade setups, I am not a professional, I am not a chartered accountant, I am not an MBA, I am just a graduate, I am not a IIM, I am not a IIT. I left a BPCL job purely on the ability to do this. I joined a broker who offered me based on this ability. I set up a trading desk for him. Number one broker, rather, there is a one is in the name of that broker. Now you can guess which broker that is. I was there. I set up the trading desk, technical desk. I was there for 9 years, and after that, I set up my own advisory. And then the media picked me up for the last almost 15 years. Now I left the media 6 months back. I have been on the prime time. You must have seen me or some either on CNBC or Z or ET Now earlier. And this is purely because of this ability to identify momentum trade setups. Now, how much money I made, I will not get into that because money, any amount of money you make, it is less only. I can tell you one thing. When I was in BPCL, when I left my job, my salary was around 15 to 18,000 a month. In the next, when I joined the in this industry and when I performed, the upside was unlimited. I could not even imagine. I could, I got a raise of some 20, 30, 40 times. That is what the market rewarded me. And without being any qualified chartered accountant or MBA or anything like that. Now, forget the money part. What this trade setups have given me a financial freedom. At the age of 44, I started my own setup. I don't have to. Now, even if you have a car, you have to travel for 2 hours in Mumbai traffic. I just cannot imagine that. So it has given me financial freedom. I hope if you use it the right way, it can give you too. Rather than getting into blanket trading, use your investments and generate return on that investment is what I would advise. And I have achieved that financial freedom is what I would say. And I would want each of you to achieve that. Now, we are talking of stocks which can go up by double, triple, 4 times, 5 times. I have seen stocks. Obviously, I can't share with you stories that 10 out of 10 stocks have worked. That is another view. But doubling your stock in a couple of years, 3 years, or one good stock you make which gives you 4, 5 times. For me, it was Balaji Amines or maybe your Godfrey Phillips or Vatek Wabak, where my Vatek Wabak actually moved up some 4 times in 8 to 10 months or something like that. Now, all you have to do is in your 5, 6 year period or multiple cycles, just find one or two stocks and that can change your financial destiny, is what I feel. Now, I would want to share with you my Nifty view. Now, we are a little uncertain with this Trump tariff, this and that happening. Currently, we are in the 25, 26,000 K range. Not great, nothing happening. But talk of the next 1.5, 2 years by end of December 20 or end of 27, I am seeing the Nifty in the 30, 33,000 range. And talk of December 2030, I am seeing the Nifty at 50,000 now, which is probably double. And the lower levels are I think that could be the base building levels. Now, for me, what is exciting is not Nifty going to 50,000 because doubling in 5 years is nothing great. It will happen. If it doesn't happen, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens earlier than that. Or it could happen, say, 6 months or 1 year later. But if you have this ability to identify momentum trade setup and if you can play that right cycle and identify just 2 or 3 stocks out of 10, 12, 15 in your portfolio, which give you a 4, 5, 6, 10x return, it can change the face of your portfolio and it will take you in a different zone. This is what excites me. And I hope you can use this knowledge to do that. Albert Einstein, I am sure everybody knows, he has made a very important statement on power of compounding. He has defined power of compounding as the eighth wonder of the world. Now, when you see a stock multiplying 4, 5, 6x times, you will realize what is compounding and the real power of compounding. When if you have a portfolio which you started with, say a few lakh rupees, becomes say multiple 10, 20 lakhs, and if you can get just one or two stocks, the 10, 20 lakhs can become a few crores over say 1 to 3 years time horizon, and that is compounding. Now, if you can do that, I think you are doing yourself, you are doing justice to your finances, your family, everyone. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. I mean, I know people who still believe that no, stock market is a strict no, no. I would invest in corporate bonds and FDs and so on and so forth. स्टॉक मार्केट तो सट्टा ही है, नहीं नहीं हमको नहीं सूट होता है. आई थिंक इन द लॉन्ग टर्म देर इज नो बेटर इंस्ट्रूमेंट. हाँ, अभी फिलहाल गोल्ड और सिल्वर चल रहा है, बट लेट अस सी हाउ लॉन्ग इट लास्ट. सो आपको ये कंपाउंडिंग अगर आप यूज करो एंड टेक अ 3 to 5 और मल्टीपल साइकिल्स आप प्ले करो, तो यू कैन रियली compound your investments. I am actually going to share with you a story of two brothers. I have changed the names. I don't want to reveal their identities, but 2010, 9, 10 sometime when I was about to start my own setup, these two people came to my training and they were twin brothers. They had a family property which they had sold, and Kaizad Mistri and Gustad Mistri. Now, Kaizad did not believe in the stock market, though he attended our training. He said, I'm not comfortable. I believe in FD and corporate bonds and so on and so forth. And Gustad was a stock market man. Now, that month, we had identified MRF. I'll show you the chart of that also in our RSI 50 setup. Initially, I was focusing more on the RSI 50. The PVRM setup is a later on addition over the last 10, 12, 15 years. Now, he went and bought now around 2.5 CR, whatever that money was. Kaizad put it in FD. He shifted to Pune, I think that is what I'm told. Gustad left India. He was an engineer. He got a job in Dubai. This is some 15 years back. And that time he bought some 2.5, 3 CR full of MRF stock, MRF share. He bought some 7,000 quantity of MRF at 3654. Now, obviously, he would not buy it purely based on my recommendation. He had some connections with some FIIs, and he had friends who were fund managers. So he took their advice also, probably, because I would not put everything in one stock, but and probably he would have had his own portfolio also. Cutting the long story short, he bought 7,000 MRF, and this is what the power of compounding can do for you. This is that exact point. 3654 in July 2009. He came back from Dubai, I think last year. MRF has touched 1,63,600, 43x move in 15 years. And I am told that he used to buy, sell, RSI going 2, 3 times. He sold off, bought it back, so on and so forth. Now, Kaizad also at a 12% CAGR, he may have bought into mutual funds and so on and so forth. That amount of 2.75 crores over the last 15 years is around 15 crores or maybe 20 crores. And Gustad's just capital appreciation in MRF is around 110, 120 crores. And he has come back from Dubai now sitting on a capital of 150, 180 CR. This is what, if you identify a good stock, or rather power of compounding, that what it can do for you. Now, I would not advise anybody to put all the money in one stock. It has to be multiple ideas. So there I would not agree with that, but still. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you want to make the transition from an unskilled trader? Well, if you already know and if you're making money, then you don't need this. But if you are a layman and if you are doing it based on hearsay, don't do that. You need training, you need to understand. You can make good return on your capital and you don't have to be a day trader for that. Yes, you can do trading, that is another point. But you can understand technical analysis. We are announcing 3 e-learning programs. I think it can change your financial destiny. Immediately, the level 1 program is a power of patterns program, which will help you identify patterns and generate much better return on your investments than what an FD or a mutual fund can. Obviously, the risks of the stock markets you have to understand. The second workshop is a identifying momentum trade setups. It is for positional traders in FNO who trade with a 2, 3, 4, 5 day time horizon. And the third workshop is for options traders who trade with a 30 minutes to 3 hours time horizon. The second and the third level workshop, I am sure you will be interested, but that is not ready. That will get ready sometime in April or so, or March, April sometime. Now, the level 1 workshop is a 5-module e-learning workshop of 2 hours. I have tried to share with you my trade setups, these two plus more, which you can understand the power of what the pattern can do for you if you can identify along with money management and combining this PVRM. If you can use it, you can do it from the comfort of your house or office or whatever. At your time, you can do it in next 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, 1 month, whatever time. I will be giving you support for a period of 1 month where you can ask me a query. If whatever you have spotted, you will be added to a group, and group learning, we will facilitate that. And in 1 month, you will be able to identify patterns by yourself. Now, whether be it a trader, whether be it an investor, only my advice is don't get into day trading and positionally, yes, you can identify stocks for investment. You can identify stocks for a few days to a few weeks, kind of. And you will also participate in our 2 to 3 sessions where we will identify stocks. It will be a session on a Saturday or a Sunday where something like a 10 to 1 types. I think this is not pricing. This is an investment. If you look at it, this is not the cost. This is an investment. The cost or investment, what I term it, is 5,400 plus GST. As a special offer, yes, by the way, I have to thank Monjit and Amit from Alphamarkets who have been instrumental in organizing this seminar. So as a special offer for their clients, we are offering this at 3,600 plus GST. We are giving you a 33% flat. But the registration has to happen today. Please understand, this is not some marketing gimmick. If you go to our website, you will get a price of 5,400 plus GST. If you register and make the payment today, you get this price. I will share with before I share with you my best wishes for your journey. I have completed what I had to say. If you have any queries, you can come back to me through Alphamarkets. I hope all your financial targets are met and your dreams come true. And I'm sharing with you the process of registration for this workshop. If you can you can click the photograph of this, or there will be a link which will be sent to you if in case, but you will have to register for this by end of the day today to get the benefit of this. And you can note down these numbers. I think I will hand it over to Monjit. Monjit, thanks once again.
Thank you, Sandeep ji, for this wonderful session. Um, before we get into the course details, I think the few of the participants do have certain questions for you. It'll really help if you can answer these questions. I'll take this one by one. We have close to around six, seven questions. And I think that'll help the participants to understand things in a much more better perspective. Um, Obviously, the first question is basically from a gentleman called Lavnish who wants to understand how do I identify PVRM for stocks which has been recently listed in the stock market, like IPO stocks, which was listed in the last quarter.
You
So
can't do that.
basically, what I mean to say, I think it's basically a short duration, and
Yeah.
PVRM primarily works for stocks which has been there for close to a year or two. So the data gets accumulated in that kind of a way. So how do you think they can identify or use PVRM to identify stocks in that setups?
Unfortunately, you cannot, because not only this technique, you cannot use technical analysis, because technical analysis and price patterns are based on the history and the psychology. It takes minimum 2 to 3 years for long-term patterns to be formed and to be clear, and before an analyst can actually identify. So with a few months or just 3 months, 2 months, it is just impossible. तुक्के मारने जैसे, so avoid that. I mean, I don't have an answer to that, or rather this tool will not help you unless the stock has a price history.
Great, thank you. There's another question from Ms. Sonali, who wants to understand how long does it take to master both these trade setups? I am fairly a new investor and invest infrequently. I do not do trades. So will these two trade setups really help me?
Absolutely. In fact, you don't have to trade. It is a myth that you make more money by trading. In fact, it is the other way around. People get people get the nasha of trading and they lose the focus. Long-term investors lose their capital, and it is absolutely, what do I say? How do I explain? If you are not trading, you are not missing out on anything. You should have the time, the inclination, and the skill set to be a successful trader. I'm not saying nobody can be successful, but the percentage of a trader, more so a day trader, is very low. If you are an investor, that is what you must be. You can be a long-term investor if time permits. You can play on 3-6 moves as short-term, medium-term investor. That is what it is. Generate returns on your investments. That is what that is what I think you should do. And how much time will you take to master this? I have been trying to master this for the last 25 to 30 years. I am still learning, is what I would say. Now you decide, but definitely to understand this and to, I mean, you don't want, if you are learning to swim or learning to drive, let us say you are learning to drive, I am sure in a month, or I will be there to give you support for a month. Post that, you won't need that, is what I feel. In 1 month, you will get that much confidence where you can do it on your own. But mastering is a different. I mean, if you want to drive normal, you can. But if you want to drive Formula One, that may not be possible that way.
Okay, but Sandeep, how long do you ideally feel that an investor or trader should practice or look at the charts?
Yes, I think that is an important point. A lot of people feel I am working, I have a 8, 10, 12 hour job. How do I get the time? I'll answer that part of the question. You don't need to spend 3, 4, 5 hours every day as an investor, but you definitely need to spend 1 to 2 hours in the early stages once a week, or maybe 3 hours a week. So on a Saturday, Sunday, if you can take anywhere between 2 to 3 hours, the more time. See, the basically once you start learning, you get attracted to that, you get addicted to that, then you will actually start learning. So you would want to spend more time. I mean, there was a time when I used to spend 15 hours just watching charts. I don't need to do that anymore. So what I mean to say is that you, in a week, if you can spend 1.5 to 2 hours, is all as an investor, and you can make much better returns than what an FD or a mutual fund can give you.
Great. Thank you. We take the third question. Obviously, we'll take a couple of more. There are, okay, not too much. Anyway, so we take the third question, which is basically from Mr. Alok Jain, who wants to know, how does Alphamarket help us invest through the platforms? Okay, Sims. So this question I think pertinent to me. Well, Alphamarket is basically a platform which is connecting advisors to investors, where the advisors comes and publishes their research, ideas, and trades in the platform, and investors can accordingly pick and choose those trades and ideas from the platform and accordingly execute it through their brokers of their choice. We give real-time alerts to investors, and investors can choose the kind of advice that they want to work with, be it on the intraday side, be it on the positional side, be it on the swing side, be it on the FNO side. So all kinds of ideas published by SEBI-registered advisors are available on the platform. We'll go to the fourth question, Sandeep ji, which is by Mr. Suraj Jadwani. How does PVRM work in a choppy market that we are seeing in the last few months?
Well, choppy markets, I would agree that there are times when you go wrong, but I won't say it will not work. The moment some stability comes, that stock will outperform. If the market was trended, that stock would have given you a 10, 12, 15% move in say a month. In choppy markets, it may only give you a 5, 7, 8% a move. If other stocks fall by 5, 7%, this stock will fall only by 2%. So you will be able to identify stocks which will be relative outperformers, even in choppy markets. Or unless there is something, some news of a war or something where nothing works, other than that, this will work, say 80% of the times.
Okay. Another question from Mr. Madhura Harinath. When and how is the idle time and method to average a good stock for long term? Does RSI 50 method help here?
Absolutely, great question. In fact, RSI 50 would help you in this. First of all, if the RSI is at 75, 80, or maybe 80, nearing 85, that stock should not be bought. If there is a correction in that stock and the RSI comes nearing 50, it may not touch 50, but it can turn up again from say 52, 55, somewhere around that. That is the time that stock can be bought. Never ever buy a stock when the RSI is nearing 85, and never ever again buy a stock if the RSI has closed below 50. This is a strict no-no. Other than that, whether you have to buy it at 55, 58, 60, that is your call.
So anything above 85 and anything below 50 is not a good point to enter.
Yes, on
That's
a closing basis, monthly closing basis, as an investor.
And that basically works in a monthly chart or a daily chart or weekly chart?
Monthly. No. I don't use the RSI 50 in a daily chart. That will not work. Only the monthly chart.
Okay. And even in a weekly chart, it's not going to work?
Well, it can work, but the strike rate will reduce as you lower the time horizon.
Okay. Okay. We'll take the last question for the day. Can you share 2 stocks where PVRM setup is developing for coming days and on what time frame? I'm not asking for any of this, but I am asking so I can understand what you explain and then connect with you.
I think Monjit sharing a stock.
Correct. I agree, because giving stock specific answers on a current market conditions will definitely violate SEBI guidelines for an educational webinar like this. What I request, Sukrit, is basically, you can get in touch with Sandeep ji directly, maybe where he can guide you on a one-on-one basis. But on a broadcast education seminar, we will not be able to answer this question. But what Mr. Sukrit is saying, that he is asking just for a study purpose, basically. If you just can give an example, not maybe give an example of live things, but then some example where he can understand things in a much better way.
No, I mean, if the moment I give an example, I would be violating this thing, Monjit, right?
Correct. I agree. I agree. Okay.
So,
So quick, I will share Mr. Wagle's details with you after this call. I will email it to you, and then you can get in touch with Bagleji directly, and then ask your questions. And I'm sure he'll be happy to answer your questions directly also. We have the last question suddenly that's come up from Mr. Deepak. He wants to understand which indicators should I follow more for better research.
Deepak, I would say that 4 or 5 indicators is all what you need. Like, for example, I follow the RSI. That is my main tool. I follow price patterns. Just this two to begin with. Then maybe an ADX is something which I have been following that gives me a good this thing. There is one Bollinger Bands which help you identify momentum. I have developed a system on that which helps me more so identify trading ideas for a short term, maybe intraday, maybe for a couple of days, so on and so forth. So just these 4 or 5 tools. Then there is one CCI which I have developed over the last 2 3 years, which is which can help me. But I would still say that rather than the tool or the indicator, it is not about which the number of tools you follow or the indicators you follow. It is about how you use them. So stick to 3 4 5 which suits you, test it out, and automatically your results will speak for yourself.
Okay, I think that is for the day. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this session. It was wonderful hosting you, and thank you, Sandeep ji, for this enlightening session. I have shared all the details in the chat how you can access Sandeep ji's training courses, and obviously, you can directly subscribe it through the link that I've shared in the chat box. You can use the code Alpha M, if I'm not mistaken, Sandeep ji, ALPHAM
Capital.
coupon code. I'll just write it down. To get the discount while subscribing to the training program. This was our first session trying to connect with the advisors to help our investors understand the markets in a better way. We will continue doing this kind of sessions going ahead. We will host Mr. Sandeep for level 2, level 3 kind of a masterclass going ahead in month of Feb, March, and stuff like that. And we'll connect with you for the next kind of sessions. The information displayed in the screen, you can reach out to us for any kind of assistance that you need, or if you have any issues while trying to subscribe to the training programs in the link, and we'll be happy to help. And as far as Alphamarket goes, we are happy to help. The website link of Alphamarket is the Alphamarket. You can check and connect with all kinds of heavily registered advisors here. Mr. Sandeep Wagle is also here, and you can connect with him and subscribe to their strategies directly. Thank you very much again for your time and for attending sessions. Looking forward to see you again in our next session. Thank you. Have a great day and good night.
Good night. Good night.